I put my phone away, but on my screensaver, I keep a screensaver that says, do it now. Do it now, because it's so easy to let things pile up or, leave, for tomorrow what could have been done today.
For sure.
And man, I have personally experienced so many instances where your list gets too long.
Every single individual has a story to tell, and they're great stories that need to be heard.
I want every listener to know they have the ability to change the world.
Welcome to the 1720 Podcast.
What's up, Mount Movers? Welcome back to the 1720 Podcast. This week, we're honored to have our good friend here that every room he walks in, he lights up with his positivity, his energy. I think Melanie was just saying it last week when you stopped by, like, I love your energy when you walk in the room. So many people in the industry think that of you. Travis Turgeon, welcome to the show, my man.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me.
I think I'm going to go back to, though, I don't know that Kevin's saying your name right. Try it again earlier from how are you supposed to say it?
I think it's Travis Turgeon.
Is it French?
It is. It's French Canadian. And
there it is.
There we go.
There it is.
Man. And my first name is Onesime, so it's Onesime Travis Turgeon, and it is a French Canadian name. My family is kind of hails from the Chamberlain, South Dakota area, and I've slowly migrated to the South. Proud husband, father, son. I've been in Dallas for roughly 16 years and in the industry that long. So
curveball, that was actually a real answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your first name?
So Onesime.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I was
one
this
of the
many
million
years.
reasons why I love this podcast. A good friend comes on, 30 seconds in, I learned something new about him.
How do you lay that on me? O-S? How do you spell it?
So Onesime, one Sime, Onesime. And Nathan is sixth generation. So the fun fact about sixth generation, when he turns 20 years old, it'll be a 200-year tradition.
Wow.
So firstborn son carries on the family name.
That's
cool,
amazing.
Pretty proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
There you go.
Oh.
So that's his first name also, and that was your father's first name, but he didn't go by it either?
Yeah, everybody kind of goes by middle names. The original is Onesime Xavier Turgeon, and actually the first was Onesime Turgeon, Onesime Xavier, Onesime Abraham, Travis, and Nathan.
Dude, this is so cool.
I know, right?
Two people at this table go by their middle name.
Yeah, did you know that?
No.
My first name's not Stuart. It's actually William, and my grandfather's name was William, and his grandfather's name was William, and my son's first name is William, although he goes by it, so we kind of mess it up there. But yeah.
But no,
very
super
similar.
Cool.
Yeah.
And my first name is Samantha.
No, that's not your first name.
I was just trying to get Matt to laugh.
Matt?
Yes.
Well, speaking of, I hear that you thought you were going to be a big fan of the podcast, but then very early on decided this was not for you. So tell us that story as we get started.
Yeah, I guess I probably let the cat out of the bag there. Of course, a fan of a lot of people that have been on the show, the guys that put the show on, and there's a lot of hype. The show's coming out, going to be really cool. Good friend of mine, guy that I consider, family. I was going to say nearly family, but really I'd almost consider this guy a brother, and real excited to listen to the first episode. I turn it on, and I guess, maybe this is the second episode, technicalities, but anywho, about less than 10 minutes in, I turn it off.
Because ain't nobody got time for that.
Man, it sounded really good. The audio was great. It was clear. It was coming through. Well done. But I just heard this story before.
Yeah. Once or twice.
And it was great because we'll get into my experiences with Fisher in our brotherhood and how that shaped some of my career. But these are things that we had just talked about, daily, if not twice or three times a day. And we're just, man, I love that guy. And
you're like, I get it. You're from Mississippi. I get it.
Charging in the same direction. And, we'll get into do's and don'ts, but, don't chew with your mouth open.
So Travis has completed 123 of 124 episodes from a listening standpoint.
Like enough.
One of them was 10 minutes. Sorry, Fatty Mish.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It's okay, buddy.
It's okay. All right. So I'm going to rewind us back to you laid a preview for like your migratory exercise from the north to the south, but Lincoln is home, right?
Yeah, so born and raised Lincoln, Nebraska, born in 83, St. Elizabeth's Hospital. Grew up there.
Two people at this table born at St. Elizabeth Hospital.
Boom.
Except mine was in Beaumont, but also, see, Travis and I are like also homies from brothers of another mother, however people say
It's
it.
fascinating.
This is incredible. My in-laws are going to love the fact that they are also from Beaumont.
What?
Yeah, well.
Are you guys cousins?
Are we accidentally cousins?
Do you know Samantha?
No, stop it. It's no Samantha.
Did we just become best friends?
I think we did. Yeah, in this moment. I was this many years old when I had a new best friend.
This is amazing. Well, this is going really well.
This is your story. This is not my story, as I have a tendency to make it. So go on.
And so Lincoln's a great place to grow up. It's a big small town. It roughly about 300,000 people today. But man, growing up as a kid, my family supported me in sports. I just felt like I knew half the community at almost a very young age. So Lincoln, Nebraska, moved to Amarillo for high school. Spent my high school career there. Wrestled, very avid wrestler. Wrestled, 140, 145 pounds for the majority of my career.
You talking like Greco-Roman onesie thing?
Yeah, all the way. Yep. Singlets and headgear and fireman's carries and all that fun stuff. So,
hard work, hard practice,
that is
man.
hard work.
And the one thing I love about wrestling is it's a mano-a-mano sport. It's two guys in the middle of the mat, two people, and it's a team sport, but at the same time, it's very much an individual sport. It's a great character builder. Much like boxing, all sports are great. Played a lot of soccer growing up as well, and love that for the team aspect of it. But wrestling, boxing, when you got to get out there on your own,
find out what you're made of.
It's a little bit different.
Did you walk in at that weight, or did you have to cut weight for meets?
Man, and so I started, and I was cutting weight to make the varsity team as a freshman, 103 pounds, and I had no energy, and so I started learning about
103. Did you say
103?
Wow.
And I was cutting from about 120. So I was at that weight. I was cutting almost 17 pounds.
In what duration? How many hours, days?
And man, I'll tell you, I was just constantly exhausted because of the lack of nutrients, the lack of energy, and the amount of running and bicycling. But I'd cut, and I could probably get 8 to 10 pounds off in a night.
Yeah, like trash bag in the sauna situation, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, the coaches probably wouldn't like to hear me divulging all this information, but it was probably it was very unhealthy. And when I started wrestling at weights, where I was prepared, I started doing a lot better. Senior year, I was ranked 5th in the state of Texas, which was an outstanding accomplishment for myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And for anybody, but that was a proud moment. Never did make the even ranked 5th in the state. Never made the state tournament. But a lot of the camaraderie and the lessons learned and the work ethic coming out of the wrestling room, and wrestled for a team that had just an incredible coach that pushed us, and mental toughness, physical toughness, all that. And so those were incredible years.
They shape you, and I know you pulled a lot of character from that. And I know from our previous conversations, you got a lot of your character from your dad too. Like some of the wisdom that he shared you growing up. What did that look like, man?
Yeah, for sure. And man, from a young age, my father really insisted that I myself was a leader, that I was born to be a leader, that people looked up to me, that they constantly, and so he constantly was pushing leadership on me, to the point that, I'm not 100% the meaning of my first name, Onesime, but for about all of my life, and whether it's accurate or not, my dad's told me that the name Onesime stands for leader of men.
Oh, cool!
And so it's something I tell my son. I think it's something that we built, formed ourselves as as a family, you use that, but we use that, and my dad used that with me, and I like to use it with Nathan to instill in him that he's a leader. That every morning before he gets out of the car to go to school, I tell him he's a leader. I tell him, work hard, play hard. Patrick Mahomes would say, "Be great today," but try to, every single day do something nice for somebody that can't do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But and so.
Well, let me linger there because I got a few questions. That, like, did that feel like pressure to 16-year-old you? Or 12-year-old you? Or I don't know how. Did it feel like pressure, or did it feel like trust, or like what is that?
Man, and I see my son, exuberant confidence, and as a young man, as a boy, I had a lot of confidence, and I think that a lot of the confidence that I had came from my dad's words of wisdom, and my dad continuously, pushing the fact that you're worthwhile, and that you can do it, and that if you'll, and that you're responsible. You have responsibilities as a leader. That people look up to you, people are going to follow what you do, so you need to take that seriously. And so, that could be some pressure, but man, I guess it must have been done in a way that I felt his confidence.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. That's good
reassurance.
Yeah. That's good feedback, right? Because I'm raising boys. You're raising a boy. I always worry, and I colloquially or cheekily say, "Yeah, they'll work that out in therapy one day," right? Like I'm just pushing things on them, or trying to push them into spaces and mold them and shape them with kids, but the boys as men, because I have a little bit better understanding of how to push that, but also worry, like, man, am I making them crazy? Am I twisting their brains in a way? I worry that all of that feels like pressure or whatever. So that's actually really good feedback. Just maybe not. Maybe it's not as such a pressure cooker as I feel like I might be creating.
Yeah, sure.
It's such a cool, like, North Star to have at such a young age, right? Like, this is almost prophetic, right? Like, this is where you're going. This is generations of our family. His dad was probably telling him at a young age, and then now you're telling your son you were told at a young age. Like, it gives you something tangible to hold on to and some meaning and purpose. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
I don't think many kids have that.
Yeah, right. That's pretty cool.
I think a good, strong name can really predetermine somebody's destination, and and then you put some meaning behind it, and a family name, whatever the case may be. But I always felt that way.
Yeah. So obviously, this is a what'd you say, North Star for growing up with your dad? Other spots or ideas or thoughts around that? I mean, or your mom too. Like growing up, I feel like those stories are very interesting to me.
Yeah,
what it's like.
And so, a little bit more. So, like, my parents divorced when I was 3 years old. And so my mom was in Lincoln, and that's where I spent most of my youth and adolescence. And then Amarillo, of course, was with my father and my stepmother there. And then as soon as I kind of wrapped up high school, I was ready to go back to Nebraska, inside my comfort blanket and my comfort zone. I went to the university there, and growing up with mom, it was, single mom life for about the first 8 years, 6 years of my life. And, I started wrestling when I was 5. And so, mom, mom was working 2 jobs, almost all the time. She's disciplined and a go-getter, and she had a lot of influence, obviously, in shaping me as a young man, as a boy. And then I had, my rebellious side, as I was coming up as well. And so, yeah, mom, also from Chamberlain, South Dakota, grew up in a rural community, small town, very, just kind of disciplined in how we kept our household. And so those were tremendous years. Dad, again, like I've got a list of notes, but he was, constantly, he's in the cattle business, and they feed cattle across the United States. And at one time, and maybe still today, he consults for about 10% of the beef that's fed in the United States. Mm. And so that equates to about, 1 in every beef products you eat. My father had a hand in feeding. So he was constantly on the road, listening to audiobooks. Like I felt like, before listening to audiobooks.
Before they were hot.
Yeah, before Fisher introduced me to What Audible?
Yeah.
The app, and I
This
was
is
like,
back in like cassette tape
oh yeah,
audiobook
cassettes
days.
for sure.
Yes.
And so I mean, things that he'd always tell me, and I put my phone away, but on my screensaver, I keep a screensaver that says, do it now. Do it now, because it's so easy to let things pile up, or, leave, for tomorrow what could have been done today.
For sure.
And man, I have personally experienced so many instances where your list gets too long, and it's really, you could have had the opportunity to do it yesterday. You could do it right now, and you take the time to watch TV or do something else, and man, another 20 or 30 minutes and that task could be accomplished. And the problem with pushing it off till tomorrow is that something else can happen tomorrow.
That's right.
And that's where you get busy. Kevin, I really appreciate using the inch by inch.
Oh,
life's a cinch, and yard by yard it's pretty hard. But the old man, he always pushed me to just take small bites, keep on going, don't give up. And if you let it amount, again, like it gets very difficult. So you got to do it now. You got to do it a little at a time. It's you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah. Both of those feed each other, the do it now and the inch by inch life's a cinch. Because those heavy lifts, they look daunting, but if you just chip away at it every single day, it's not a heavy lift. You just have to go. And I think so many people get too scared that things are too big and daunting to take on because they just don't start and they don't keep up with it. Starting and consistency, man.
Absolutely.
What is Nebraska like with the Cornhuskers? Like, is that football team everything out there?
Man, and it sure was when I was growing up.
That's no pro sports teams there. Like,
it's great. It's still a great tradition. It's been a while since the Cornhuskers have put together a real strong football team, and it's been too long. We're really looking forward to the day that they get back. But man, you want to talk about like childhood memories and living on the road with the old man in the summers, or coming to town and we're staying in Super 8s and playing in the national championship and like bouncing off the walls, and
yeah, for sure.
I mean, just abusing the Super 8 mattress, just having the time of our life. Got to go to a lot of football games growing up as a kid. It was a tremendous atmosphere and really just a great tradition of football and excellence, and again, pushing envelopes and leading the norm. Boyd Epley program, the Bigger, Faster, Stronger, came out when I think I was middle school age, and they were ahead of the nutrition curve. They were ahead of the weightlifting curve. They were charting new territories, and it was only a matter of time before the rest of the program started to catch up.
Right.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and yeah, they got a lot of work to do, but it's still a great tradition
for sure.
I mean, this might be salt in a wound, but like, when was that? That was the late 90s, early aughts, when it was starting to, like, y'all were playing for titles and stuff?
Yeah. 95 was maybe the last title in that range. So yeah, it's as a young man going to college, you're excited, and they hired Steve Peterson and Bill Callahan, and it was a different it was a new era.
Yeah.
And but man, Tom Osborne is still alive and kicking. He's around town. He's a senator there for a while. Talk about a beloved individual in the great state of Nebraska.
See, the football program gets you the Senate seat.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Yeah,
you're a regular politician anyway.
That's full circle right there.
Yeah.
That's Nebraska football full circle. Yeah.
How did horticulture get on your radar? Like, what attracted you to go to school that ultimately led you to your career? How does that get on your radar?
Sure. Agricultural family, small town, South Dakota. Ultimately, I get attracted to horticulture and landscaping. A lot of my friends in Nebraska and Lincoln, families own concrete companies, framing companies, were home builders. And so watching my father, who was an entrepreneur, I wanted to do something entrepreneurial myself. And that was, I didn't want to compete against my friends. I wanted to work with my friends.
Yeah.
And so that was an area for me to go into business. And that was the avenue. That's how it started.
Yeah, you have something very specific. Go to school for that. There's a job lined up on the other side. It's pretty automatic. I did not have that. It was business management and entrepreneurship as the major. What is that? Here's all the industries that exist that you could go to.
Right. Did you know that was the plan? Like, I'm going to do this, and this is how it all shakes out, and that's like you had pre-charted or self-charted that out?
Yeah, that was, being in business, being self-employed was the plan. I was probably in school because that was the social norm, and that's what society said you're to do. You're to go to school. And my parents were big advocates of education, and so it was their influence as well. Once you graduate high school, you go to college. You get cheap loans, and you figure out how to pay it off because that's life experience. Yeah. And the most thing, the best investment you can make is in yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was important to my family again that I borrowed my own money, and that I got help along the way, of course, but I had to pay off all my student loans, and that was a good thing.
I know it kept me in check to like I screwed around a lot in college, but I also went to class regularly because I wanted in and out in 4 years because I knew that loan was coming. And I didn't want another year on the ropes there. Did that kind of hold you accountable because it was out of your pocket?
No, not
Swing and a miss, Kev.
Nice try. So tell us more about college.
Edit.
Yeah, and I'll say that, but full disclosure is that, I stayed around school for 6 years. I kind of took the long way around, and I took call it the minimum hours to stay full time. But man, for me in my attention span, like that was something that I needed. I needed to manage my workload, and man, I had a lot of fun. I played a lot during my college years, and so my discipline was certainly not at its peak.
No. I think the only thing that helped me was the financial repercussions for staying there longer.
So so you take an extra lap or so, and then you're out. Did you become self-employed? I don't know the whole story here about, headed eventually you make it here. So walk us through that story here in Dallas.
And, man, I'll tell you, in my college years, I was having a little bit too much fun at times, and it came to graduation, and I realized that it was time to grow up. It was time to figure out how to make some money, how I was going to figure out, pay off those extra 2 years of school in bar tabs and everything else. And so the day after I graduate from the University of Nebraska, my U-Haul's loaded, and I'm headed straight south. I don't have a job. I lay over in Amarillo for about 30 days. I secure a job in Dallas, and I'm going to go work for a company called Brickman. They're a landscape maintenance contractor. They're about $1 billion national company at the time. So I moved to Dallas, and I'm working at an office in Roanoke.
Yep.
That was a bit of a humbling experience for me. I'm fresh out of school. I'm working on a crew in the north. Kids and trucks, and people are running landscape businesses. CPAs are getting out of that line of work to start a landscape company. And in the South, as I'm running around and I'm trying to meet people and young ladies and things of that nature, and they say, "What do you do?" I say, "Well, I work for a landscape company." They say, "Well, yeah, well, you can't because your skin's the wrong color."
Oh,
it was kind of like you can't mow grass because and I was making, not a lot of money. I'm just trying to pay my bills and get by. But this is my path. This is the direction I've chose, and so I'm figuring that out. And so one of the craziest things is I'm walking down the street in this community where I'm kind of a assistant manager, if you will. And I ride with the crew every day, and they're all migrant workers from the South up on the H-2B program, which is a program that we still use today to get employees. And I'm cruising down the street with my weed eater, and this gentleman walks up to the curb and he says, "Young man." I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, his eyes light up. He says, "My, you speak perfect English." And I said, "Well, yeah, it's my first language. And I've spoke it for 27 years now." But, and so that, I'm riding on a truck. I'm learning the business. I'm learning it from the ground up, and I'm trying to figure out how to get, from the weed eater to the mower, from the mower to the next piece of equipment, and maybe management. And so I'm really working from the ground up when I first moved to Texas.
As your layover in Amarillo, or before you even get to Amarillo, that's the game plan. Like, I'm going to go to Dallas. I'm going to find a landscape company. I don't care where I start. I'm just starting somewhere.
I was talking to these guys before I ever left Nebraska.
Got it.
So it was the intention. It wasn't baked by any means. And but yeah, so then I do the maintenance thing for about 3 years, and realized that I got into this business to be in construction. I graduated college in 2008, and so there was about a bit of an economic downturn.
Yep.
Again, I was on a journey to find myself and find some responsibility and grow as an individual. And I saw getting out of my hometown as an opportunity to kind of accelerate that, if you will. And so go to work for another company doing construction now. Clyde Warren Park is about to kick off, and I go work for a company called Valley Crest. And I spent about 3 years at Valley Crest, and great experience, met great people, learned a lot. At this point, I've worked for 2 landscape companies. They're 70-year-old firms, and so at this point, like I look at the R&D and training that I've received from these 2 companies. I go, man, I got 170 years of the best research industry knowledge, available to somebody in my role. So, man, college was a great stepping stone for me. College was, I started something, I finished it, and that was probably the most beneficial thing. I learned a little bit about botany and horticultural, Latin names and things of that nature. I learned a lot about myself and who I was as a person, and that was a party animal.
Yeah.
Get a couple years at Valley Crest, go to work for another company, and this leads me to self-employment.
Okay.
Finally, I do a short stint at a company. It's not a very good cultural fit for myself, and I end up cutting ties there. And really, in a very short period of time, I said, "This is no longer for me." I've got a couple moonlight opportunities. I start a business. I do that business for about 14 months, and man, that's when things start to get real interesting for me in my career and where I'm at today. Is I get an opportunity to sell out of that business, and Fisher hits me up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And when Matt hit me up, it was, life is all about timing, and it was such a good opportunity to go in a new direction. I really wanted to stay self-employed for a longer period of time than I did. But I had a newborn son at home. I was living insurance off of my wife's Teladoc plan, and and Fisher was able to provide me a position that gave both entrepreneurial spirit with security.
Yeah. So did you know Fish before? How'd that come up? Like, how did you meet him? How'd the pitch happen?
Yeah, so Matt and I, had worked together in a past life previously.
There you go.
And yeah, so we're acquaintances.
There you
really.
go. Okay, I picked that.
Leading up to the fish hookup.
The fish hook?
Yeah. Where did no. Even before that, when you started your own hustle, how much exposure to the business did you have? So you started in the field, but when you went to Valley Crest, was there some office positions? So you got to see the back of house, how that worked, or sales, or was it all field before you broke off on your own?
Yeah, and in Lincoln, I'd helped a friend get a business off the ground, and so I mean, not a lot of direct vision, but some entrepreneurial spirit there, some ability to assist and drive, and have the passion to push, some project management experience in those years leading up to going self-employed, but not a lot of business acumen and direct like no accounting, but man, had the drive and the desire to figure it out and to figure out estimating and get in front of people and not pitch, but just work hard and show capability and so to answer your question, not a lot of exposure to that leading up to that decision.
What's the timeline here? 2000.
Yeah, so 08 to about 15.
Gotcha. In 15 is when you joined back with Fish. Is that the go back date, plus or minus?
Yeah, I think about 16. Fish hires me.
Gotcha.
Did that start your business development journey?
And that's where I would say that doesn't start my business development journey. I say well before that, but title wise, and my real introduction to an opportunity that I kind of was thinking was like a dead trade. The days of these business developers and stuff. And so when I got the opportunity, I remember calling my dad and I was like, Dad, like, dude, not everybody gets this opportunity. Like this is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. And then of course what we know about business, biz dev and the investment we make into it in sales pursuits, et cetera, is pretty incredible these days.
Why'd you think it was dead?
I'd had known some folks that had worked for the big electrical companies back in the day, and they were doing these trips, and they were just doing different things, and it was just something that in the circles that I ran in maybe smaller communities that people weren't investing in or around me at that time.
Interesting. Okay. Not true. It turns out that was far from the truth.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for a minute, and we'll get through the rest of that story, but it is relationships and also alive and well.
Man, it's alive and well. Business development is alive and well. And man, I'm a strong believer in business development. In the sense, when I say business development, I mean not sales.
Yeah.
But say more about that to rob that from Stewie.
Stealing my lines. Yeah. Say more about that. You said.
Oh. Somebody had to say it.
Yeah. Go on. Yeah. Say more about that, man.
Yeah. And so, as far as, business development, I feel like the core responsibilities of a business is to protect their reputation. And, I've gotten to a real position anymore where I'm not trying to pitch you. I'm not trying to sell you. And I'm trying to, provide the facts and show, why we may or may not be the right contractor for a particular project. But at the end of the day, I want you to make your best decision. I don't want you to get sold a bag of goods, a bill of goods. I'm more interested in building, relationships. And I think we as an industry have become interested in building relationships. And look, this is all geared towards construction. So construction is a hard business. Construction is not easy. There's a lot of moving parts. There's so much that goes into, variables in a project. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, we're going to face challenges. And, who do you want to sit down and figure it out with?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. And you do it in the figuring all that out when it happens is more easily done with someone you've broken bread over, and that they need to be home at 5 o'clock because they have something going on or whatever all the moving intangible parts are. It's way easier to solve for.
Stu, I appreciate you saying 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because, there's a guy that told me we all have a code. And one of his codes was, I go home at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, I tell people all the time, and I like to focus on young people in our business, that, our intention is to take some problems, take some troubles, some struggles off your hands. And we want to see you go home at the end of the day. And, maybe that's cliche, but, and that's how I feel. And that's how I try to guide or lead our team or influence our team that, hey, our purpose to serve here is to make everybody's life better.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then that kind of back to, it's a safety component of that too, but there's no, we worked it out and I didn't leave angry because I'm stupid, whatever, wasn't doing whatever. And I'm worried about it all night because I know no, we worked it out. It's fine. I did what I said I was going to do. You did what you said we were going to do. We worked together and you get to go home at 5 o'clock and check out from your job because I was a good business partner to you from 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a great value there.
Yeah.
And you're able to relate to your field team, man.
That's huge.
you could see ahead of that with a client, or like an aggressive schedule that like you had 4 months to do all your landscaping services. They're trying to say you need it done in 2. And without checking with the superintendent, you're like, I've been there. We cannot do that. Like, we can say yes, like maybe the competition's going to do, and then it's going to be delayed and everybody's going to have a headache. Or we could talk through it. And then you're kind of protecting your people in that way too, when from a business development sales standpoint, you dig your heels in when you need to.
That's right. Yeah.
Because you did say, like, sometimes we're not the right fit. That willingness to walk away is a business development superpower, man.
Yeah, it really is. There's a good point there too that you're making, that you had said, and I'm going to kind of try to bring it all together, which is you understand all the facets of the business now, right? All the way from the field to the top, which is interesting because I had a conversation at lunch today with a friend who was thinking about just like going completely to a different industry. And that conversation was like, well, what do you know about it? You need to know this, and I don't know, you know this, and you need to spend time in the, and if you were to go there, you need to spend the first 5 years in the field, in the shop, driving a truck. Like, you have to go figure all those things out so that you could actually lead that organization at some point.
Yeah.
Which is like, somebody's listening to this and they're like, oh yeah, I've only ever just sat at my desk in the office. I've never been in the field, or I've never gone down to the floor, or I've never walked the shop, or go do that.
Yeah.
Right. So that Kevin did it all the time. You just have a greater understanding of what's going on. I'll just say out there, to help guide you make better decisions in there.
Yep.
So yeah,
just to build relationships.
Well, right.
Like, hey, what's your name, man? Nice to meet you. You'll be seeing me around here. Very, very rarely did I even critique somebody. If I saw like a safety violation, I would probably pull a foreman and tell them to tell the team, but typically not direct, because I don't want to be known as the clipboard guy when I'm going out there. Like, we're just trying to build this purpose, vision, and core values. That's why we're out there. It's relationships. I've swung a hammer for years. Like, I'm relatable to the craftspeople like you are, man, because we were in those shoes.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And it's one thing I tell my team is that, look, the business that we run today is very different than the business that I self-employed and that I ran a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I do have experience in figuring out the estimate. I do have experience in figuring out the building. I do have the experience. I haven't done it at the level that our professionals in our office do it today. They're in there crushing it. They're extraordinarily better at it than I am or I was. But at the same time, man, I'm absolutely ready to pull the gloves off and jump in and widen the lane and be a part of, whatever it is that, one of the first comments was, protect the reputation, whatever it requires to protect the reputation, ready to get in the middle of that,
Yeah. Well, to the client side and just out there in the industry, I mean, you're one of the bright stars out there, right? Like, we've become good friends over the years. Was that always in you from your come up, or is that due to Matt's mentorship? Because I know we bashed him, but I also know that he's been a pretty big mentor in your life. Like, is that where the stars started aligning with building relationships, not just knocking down pins?
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I'd say about Matt is that Matt absolutely opened his playbook to me. Now, there's from my childhood, I always had a lot of friends. I didn't have many enemies. I fit into all the groups. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to be liked. And so I was always just pretty outgoing. When I started my own business, we drummed up about $1.5 million in work in the first 12 months, 14 months into that business. We sold it and got out of it to go do the business development thing. And so I had the hunger, I had the drive, the spirit, and the want to go do it. And then when Matt and I reconnect in approximately 2016 timeframe, then that's when things, kind of really start to take off for me in my career. And I appreciate your comment. But there are things that, one of the greatest things that Matt ever did for me is that he pushed me to be out, to be out, to be involved, to be engaged. And so that's one thing I reflect back on and see as a kind of turning point in my life, in my career. And I remember there was times where, business is busy, we're running, we're gunning, and Matt sees me in the office. He says, "What are you doing here? You need to get out of here. You need to," and I literally haven't pulled out of the gate yet. And he calls me out because, "Where the heck are you going?" you got to get back in here. And I was like, Matt, I don't know what you want, man. I'm spinning. And
Literally.
It's literally. And so, but man, that was, we worked together for about 5 years, and it was an incredible period of time in my life and my career. And we had a lot of balls in the air at any given time, and I learned a lot from leadership and watching Matt. And Matt, one great thing about Matt is that he leads by example, and his example is that like he's going to get in there and mix it up. He's going to figure it out. He's not afraid of a tough conversation and meeting challenges head on. And I think that I was reflecting on what did I learn from Matt, and I kept resorting back to I think I really learned how to lead up the ladder.
Ooh, yeah. Say more about that. I will go there.
And but man, one thing I really did learn from Matt was meeting challenges head on.
Yeah.
And one of the secrets to business development is being available. You got to answer your phone. But Matt and I, and you say more about leading up the ladder. One of the great books that I really enjoyed is Extreme Ownership.
Oh yeah.
And they talk about leading up the ladder, but Matt gave me opportunities to speak up and be heard and make influence and impact on the business. And so Matt, he was the tip of the spear, and he's the head of that office, but really gave me a lot of latitude to impact and make influence on our team. And so there's a lot of times where we were co-collaborating constantly and all the time, and that was a good experience, and just I took a lot from that time spent together in really leading together.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so leading up the ladder, I'm using my air quotes here, from your perspective or vantage point at that time, was with and through and to Fish, right? Like he was up the ladder, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
and not that I was the leader behind the scenes or anything like that, but there were times where, man, Matt was growing in his role in his business and what he's doing, and he's influencing me to, man, I'm kind of like following in his shoes, almost like big brother, little brother. And, we talk about peer group, and, these are things. So a lot of things that I did was, by observation.
For sure.
And then when I'm bringing back to the mothership, to the kitchen, I'm sharing and we're sharing, and there was just a lot of opportunities to kind of work together.
Yeah.
There was a lot of conversations, well, because obviously about the peer group, that he would be singing your praises. It was a pretty regular thing early in that journey of just your tenacity, the positivity, all the traits that you're talking about today. And Fisher's my accountability partner because of his ability to have tough conversations. If you want an accountability partner, don't get somebody that sugarcoats it, man. I want somebody to be like, hey, you're acting like an idiot. Like that's what I need. And he's willing to do that as a leader and as a friend. So he's my accountability partner for that exact reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
You just got PTSD a little bit.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that trait that he has. Although he has an ability, maybe we'll get off talking about Fisher, but he has the ability to do it in a way that doesn't feel like hurtful or overtly confrontational. He's like, hey man, and then he just says it to you and you're like, oh yeah, I think you're right. And you don't feel kind of like all chopped up over it. You think, oh, he cares about me, and he cares about our business, and he cares about us doing the right thing, and he cares about me being the best version of me. And so he says it in love, and you're like, you're right, man. You're right.
And authenticity. He really, he's authentic, and he pulls authenticity out of the people around him.
Yeah.
I remember I had just started, and I'm sending out proposals, and I've got this real stuffy kind of, button to the collar email I'm sending out, and he walks into my office and he says, hey man, you got to cut that out. You got to be more authentic. That doesn't sound like Travis at all. Mm-hmm. And I was almost offended. And then I'm like, well, I wrote that because that's those are the words I'm going to use. That's how I feel, and that's and then I read it, and it's just it's just real.
Get your monocle on.
Yeah, exactly, and and so authenticity is another thing that we talk about. Your authentic self, and it don't be anybody but yourself.
So you finally escape that lunatic, and you get over to Clean Scapes, right? When was that timeline wise?
Man, I can't tell you the when he turned in his resignation. I had a moment of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then I was like, oh my gosh, the ceiling has been lifted. We're off like a rocket ship. Like I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so man, it really created a lot of opportunities for that office as well as myself. Matt had done a lot to influence me, but man, now I'm flying on my own and got carry my own parachute and all those things. But all of a sudden, I didn't have my cohort and my partner, and he's off doing his thing. He's doing a tremendous job. Really excited for him in Woodhouse, and Clean Scapes. So Clean Scapes is headquartered out of Austin. Opens in 2005. This is a second tour with this group. Previously called Clean Cut, sold in an acquisition. And so 2008 rolls around. Austin Business Journal awards Clean Scapes fastest growing business in Austin. Really great story there. Guys sitting around at the gala and 10, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh my gosh, like this is getting really real. And they beat out tech companies and medical companies and fastest growing business in Austin.
This is all industries.
This is all industries.
Dang.
Central Texas. So pretty exceptional growth between 2005 and 2008. Fast forward to 2021, Clean Scapes sells again to the employees, and it's the ESOP.
Nice.
And so I refer to our employees as CEOs, Clean Scapes employee owners. I pulled that from Corgan, so a little shout out to those guys.
That's creative.
But yeah, Corgan did a great job with that. So but it is. It's an ESOP business, employee owned from top to bottom. It's 100% employee owned, and so that was one of the real big motivators for me coming over to this business, was that I wanted to be with a group of like-minded people who were pulling in the same direction. And I felt with the leadership that I'd been introduced to and the business plan and model that we had the right recipe to build the kind of culture that I wanted to promote.
Did you open up the DFW operations? Because it's pretty crystal clear you put them on the map in DFW.
Well, man, I appreciate that, and I wish I could take credit for that. Clean Scapes have been in the maintenance business for about 8 years before they hire myself. They've been doing construction for 2 years before they hire myself in DFW, and man, they. If you can't beat them, join them, right? So we installed the PGA headquarters in Frisco with the AMP, and now the Omni PGA Resort with Brassfield and Gorey, and a number of other great projects. We did right at $15 million installed in the ground last year, and that was the same size as the business when Fish hired me at the other shop, and when we left that shop, it was about a $32 million business. So, man, the trajectory in Dallas is just incredible. Everybody knows that this place is like a rocket ship. Hopefully we can stay the course, and real excited about just the opportunities for myself and everybody in the company here in Dallas and then beyond.
Classic example of how it's such a relationship business and the importance of business development, right? Like, good people want to work with good people, and business follows that, period.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're after relationships. We're after working with friends first.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, peer groups. So there's a couple that come to mind when I think of you. ALC is one. We could take this whatever order you want. ALC, and then you drummed up your own peer group recently. Which one do you want to tackle?
Can I vote?
Yeah. Stu, give us a direction here, man.
I want to vote. You drummed up your own recently and go there, because I'm not aware of this. I don't think.
Yeah.
Or if I have, I've forgotten.
Yeah, so I think it was about 3 years ago that kind of started down this path. And again, whether there's osmosis, watching a group of leaders that I admired, and seeing people do things a little bit differently, and growing themselves, and a lot of these peer groups and the stuff all stems from networking. But through my networking opportunities, I've come to find so much more in return through service. Community service, reading groups, et cetera, and so we start our peer group, and we call it the Kings. And I had a good friend that I had met as an acquaintance in the business. We're running late to a pre-bid, a public pre-bid project, and we're like, first day on the job, late, boss is counting on us to be there. We got to find the sign-in sheet. And we realize that we have some commonalities and that we're about the same age. And, we kind of orbited around one another for a couple of years. And then we were both looking for more. And, we want to grow ourselves in business, professionally, et cetera. And then right away, I recognized that, the business aspect of it was great, but the camaraderie and the friendship in the young men's group for us, we're all guys, but just the opportunity to get better as people, and again, not focused on sales, not focused on promotions, but how's family life, and how are things at home, and what are you doing to maybe be a better husband or a better father. And, and then, at the end of the day, we're all in the same industry, and we're learning together. But the underlying factor was that we wanted it to be much more than a business development group.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for more leads. I was looking for more quality, I guess.
Yeah.
So you went in with intentionality day one.
Yeah.
How did that recruiting process go? Like, you took some time in reflection. You're like, you aim for 5-ish, 6 people, and you're like, all right, this would be a good match. I'm going to go to lunch with him.
Yeah, we really did. And, again, life's about timing. And there was a couple of leaders within the business who had made some key hires. And, man, fortunately, the right people got put in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And it all kind of came together pretty naturally. And so,
can you tell us who they are? Or is it super top double?
Yeah,
secret?
No,
give your dudes a shout out.
Yeah, so we call him, in my house, we call him my good looking friend, but Kyle Craven. And so Kyle's a stud, man, and he's kind of been a bit of a rock for me over the years, and just a guy that I could always reflect off of. And we're in very different lines of work and service in the community. But so Kyle's in there, Win Williams at the demo company, Brian McFall, Ray Berard has been in that group, Dylan Turner, and myself. And so
studs,
salty group,
man. Yeah. They're dangerous. Okay, yeah. They got big plans and big futures, and they're good fathers and all the above.
And I just want to tell the Kings that when old Travis started talking about y'all, he was sparkling,
glowing,
big smile.
Yeah.
That's Did I do that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure, man. You looked up from your paper and started talking. And I was like, oh yeah, these are the dudes right here. So that's awesome.
It's a game changer, man. Rolling with some homies that got your back, and you make it more about leads, like you said, and you're going to hit some valleys. I'm telling you, I'm sure we've talked about this in this journey, that somebody's going to go through a deep valley in their life, and y'all are going to be there to pick them up, and vice versa. And you hope you all have a little bit of ebb and flow in that, and you all don't just go sinking down at the same time, because who's there to pull you up? But that happens, man. See, life is tough. Seasons of life are tough. And when you got some brothers next to you that can pick you up, man, it's a game changer. It's a cheat code in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It's a cheat code in life, and again, construction's hard. Life's not easy, and so figuring out ways to make it enjoyable and giving yourself the upper hand. It's it's kind of what it's all about for me.
Yeah.
Well, we've said it on here a gazillion times, but if you're listening and you're not in one, figure that out. Pull a Travis, pull a Kevin, figure out who your people are and get them together. And there's no like code of conduct or some paper you sign or whatever, but just get everybody on the same page and start meeting, because it really is cheat code.
Yeah.
It really is cheat code.
They do January retreats and stuff. They do it yearly.
Y'all do?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and I mean, it is cool because, there's times where, we've made impacts on one another and never knew that it was happening.
Yeah.
And then you get together and you say, man, you remember that time you gave me that compliment? You just don't, you don't realize the impact you had on me that day. And it makes everybody feel good.
Heck yeah, man. It's freaking awesome.
And then you remember that, being nice and giving a smile, these are things that make impacts on the world every day, and we should all be doing it.
And it's not all serious like mentorship stuff. If your text thread's anything like ours, there's some silliness in between the seriousness.
You
got to mix business with pleasure, right?
Right.
We're not screenshotting the Mountain Movers text and sending that out on LinkedIn because it is silly time from time to time.
A lot of gifs. A lot of gifs are sent.
A lot of gifs.
Whole conversations that don't have any words.
Yes, that too. I'm assuming y'all's is about the same.
It's ludicrous at times.
That's a great word. That's a great word. Man. Also, 2 episodes in a row with a rapper reference on accident.
Bam.
There you go.
Boom. Like it. Man, the ALC program, this community has some of the best associations for this industry, coast to coast. The Texo organization is incredible in the opportunities that they create in YCC, in the better practices that group, intentionally shares and promotes and is always, pushing forward. Trek is an organization that I've been pretty involved with through the years and has made tremendous impacts on myself. And I'll share a quick Trek story because, Kevin, you and I were discussing this, and I got into a lot of these opportunities for the networking of the events. Yeah. And I started giving back to the community and doing reading days at Martin Luther King Elementary.
Oh, that's awesome.
Met some really great people through doing that, some industry friends that, really became close friends through those experiences. And one day, Jack and I were doing a career day at the school, and we're talking about construction and architecture and this and that. And, long story short, the kids that in this community, about 60% of them are homeless and live in the homeless shelter around the corner. And so we're talking about, Clyde Warren Park and different things, and we talk about building a house and, what would you put in your house? And they really, there was no relation there.
Yeah.
And we talked about landscaping, and they said, oh, I know some of the landscapes. And we started finding some connections. It was kind of crazy. And then I meet this young man, Simon, and Simon has made such an impact on my outlook on life and charities and giving back to the community. So Simon has escorted me around the building for the day, and he's been my just escort, I guess, taking me from classroom to classroom. And we sit down at the end of the day, and I said, man, John, I could use a coffee. And he looks down at his wrist. He didn't have a watch on, but he says, man, I'm exhausted. I said, what are you doing, Simon? You looking at your pedometer? He goes, dude, I've taken like 100 steps today, or maybe 5,000 steps, but man, I've been working. I said, man, I do a coffee. And he said, gross. I said, what do you like? And he says, I like Sprite. And I said, oh man, my son likes ocean water. And he goes, gross. And it kind of caught me off guard that he didn't know what an ocean water was, where it was something that we're very accustomed to getting from Sonic and all of that. And this little kid, man, I'm kind of rushing through the story here, but he was so intellectual and he was so intelligent. He had so much going on for him that if he could just get a hand up, not a handout, but if you get an opportunity, I wanted to, do anything I could to give this guy a chance, more of a chance. Give him some of the opportunities that I had as a kid, but really, make a positive influence on Simon. And you get done with that, and it's easy to want to take somebody home, and but man, it was a moment where I had always believed in the Travis Turgeon Foundation. I was really in it for number one, and this was a moment that I came to realize that, man, if as an industry, there are so many opportunities, and our industry is doing so much for this community that it's impressive and it's necessary.
Yeah.
But it was a turning point for me where networking and had become service.
Yeah.
And I was receiving more than I was giving. And I can relate that to sales. And it's why I try not to do sales.
Yeah.
I try to do business development because there's more in return for helping than there is for selling or taking, if that makes sense. I hope I hit it on the head there.
Well, go ahead, and then I'm going to quadruple down on that idea. Go ahead.
Well, who is serving who in that instance, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, Simon doesn't know the impact he made on your life, right? You were there to serve him, and Uno reversed you. That forever changed your life.
Yeah.
How big is that?
Yeah.
And regardless of motive, you got in, right?
That's right.
I joined Texo for selfish motives. I got out of it was completely different, exponentially different, life transforming, all that sort of stuff. But you got in. You were willing to do it and try it on for size, even if it wasn't authentic until it became authentic.
Right.
You know? How powerful, man.
Yeah.
You just got to start. You didn't know what you were doing. So what? You weren't even there for the right reason. So what? You were there.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So this is me quadrupling down. That was a career day where you caught up with Simon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Ashley's like about to start cringy for me for just a minute, but this weekend, I think it was this weekend, she says to me, or maybe she texted me, hey, let me back up. She volunteers at this school. It's off of Coit. Why are you laughing? Because you don't know where I'm going.
No, I'll wait.
Okay. So she volunteers at this school off of Coit and like 635 called RSD Academy. It sounds a lot like the school that you guys were going to in terms of a lot of the demographic issues. And she texted me and said, hey, we're having a career day coming up soon. Do you know any people who would be willing to come to career day? I was like, yeah, like the construction industry is full of them. So Ashley's like, please don't do this. But like, open invitation. If you want to go to career day at RSD Academy, email me, text me. I'll connect you with Ashley, because they're trying to fill that school with people who can say, here's what I do. Here's how I got into it. I didn't have to do X, and explain to these kids who don't always have the opportunity that at least it appears that others have, right? That they say that this is a good idea. Like, help me explain, that sort of thing. So if you're into that, I turn this into an Ashley moment. Text me, email me, call me, LinkedIn me, catch up with Kevin, something, because we'll plug you into career day, and you can go and experience that exact same Simon moment that Travis had firsthand in the next 30 days. So there's your opportunity.
And you could go get some firepower from Lorinda in this office, because the Texo Foundation has different committees that have kits for career days.
Oh, boom. There you go.
They have a, what would you call that? A script. So like, you don't even need to know what you're talking about. Just read the script. About the construction industry and why you should get in. Because, that's the whole purpose of the foundation is to grow, train, retain the next generation.
Right.
You got to start young.
That's it.
Get that fire built in them young.
Absolutely. And this industry needs them.
Oh, we need plenty of opportunity, man.
Lots of great opportunities.
Is that where you thought I was going? No. Foundation was what you wanted to say. I'm trying to come back to make sure you said what you wanted to say.
No. No, just let's move on.
Not editing that out.
No, that's fine.
Leaving that
I can tell you off air.
Yeah, leaving that one right in there. All right, I feel like we burned through our prep list unless we want to go out, but you got notes, man. Did we hit them all? You got literally pages.
More on the family or hobbies. I know you like hunting. We have shared mentorship, right? We mentor each other on certain things.
Oh,
you
yes.
mentored me on guns. So
yeah,
is he responsible for that video that you sent out the other day with the night scope silencer thing?
He was the one that convinced me to get a 300 blackout, which I'll have an off-air conversation with him about that too.
Okay.
But yeah, hunting I know is a big hobby. What else?
Yeah, we did. We cooked through here pretty quick, and for those who know me, I'm guilty of a tangent here and there. But family life. I married an incredible woman from Southeast Texas, which is phenomenal because there was a time where I was planning the holidays in I was blaming Haley for never leaving the great state of Texas and never going north to see my family and all of that. But I was also planning Easter around the crawfish boil. And it hit me that it was not all her fault that we continued to go southeast, because the hunting, the fishing, the food are all hobbies of mine. And so...
you can pick up all three of those right there in the Golden Triangle.
Dude, it's really a delightful place.
Said no one.
Which is great too, because Nebraska is really a pretty beautiful state, and there's white picket fences and rolling hills and great spruce trees, and we have four seasons and all of that good stuff. It minuses the economy of Southeast Texas, which is very unique.
Mm-hmm.
But Haley, she didn't think that we had like McDonald's, and she thought we were like primitive people in the Midwest. And it always surprised me because, I say, where are you from?
Right.
But
classic Beaumont people think that nobody has anything outside of that little bubble.
Outside the triangle.
You've never been there, yeah.
Yeah, but and then, man, Nathan is crushing it in baseball and in sports, and man, teaching us so much every day. It having children, and you guys are fathers, and love listening to your stories about your families, and how wise your children are, and love seeing your kids when we're at events and different things. So but he's really excelling. I got very fortunate. I outkicked my coverage. And I know that, I tell a lot of people, I say, I know that it was right. I know that God meant for it to happen, because we ended up with an All-American son, and he is just, he's a class act, and he's sharp. And again, he's teaching us every day. So that's a ton of fun, chasing baseball. Baseball's just kicked off again. So that's in full swing.
Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Yes, nailed that.
And then hunting and fishing, those are hobbies, things that again led me to horticulture, being in the outdoors. Love to be in the outdoors, and just, man, love doing it with good friends and family.
What's your favorite hunt and fishing story? Like, you got to pick one and tell it right here. Go.
So Nathan and I are in Grayford, Texas. We just acquired this new hunting lease, and steal one of those mints real quick. And so this is our first live action hunting experience. Let's say it that way, together. And we're setting up camp at this new location. And make this quick. I'm cleaning the house, and he's playing with trucks, and we're waiting for some pigs to come in under this feeder that's got a nightlight on it, and there's water. It's real wet out there, and he's got to go number one. Well, the water's not turned on in the house, so I take him to the front door of the trailer house, and he's doing his business, standing there at the top of the stairs, and we hear these pigs start coming down the road. And they're snorting, and they sound nasty and mean, and and his eyes are kind of lighting up. And I'm a big believer in playing the hunt the plan. And I said, okay, son, they've got to get out of the feeder. We're gonna wait here. You're gonna play with your trucks. When they come in, you're gonna sit in that chair, and Dad's gonna go outside, and I'm gonna make the shot, and then I'll come and get you. And so they come in. I said, okay, game on. Here's your chair. Plan the hunt the plan. And he says, no, Dad, I'm going out. And so I've got a 3-year-old son who wants to go out in the middle of the night and take a shot at these pigs together. And so I try to convince him, but he convinces me otherwise. And we start heading out the front door to get to the back of the house. As we get around to the back, I set him down on the porch, and I ease on down to the fence where I'm going to set up and take my shot. And I hear him start calling my name. And I look back, and I said, Nathan, you got to be quiet. What do you want? He said, I got to go to the bathroom. So I realize, okay, I set my rifle down. I go back to the house. I get him. He goes to the bathroom again, small bladder, and pees off the side of the porch there. And I set him back up, and I say, okay, Nathan, now you've got to be quiet, or it's not going to happen for us here. And he looks at me, and he says, Daddy. And he points to the sky. And I said, what? I look up and the stars are glorious.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, yes, son, the stars are big and bright in the state of Texas.
Yes.
And so I ease on back down to the fence and, be quiet. And all of a sudden I hear, Daddy. And I said, what? And he says, did you shoot yet? And I said, well, no. And at this point, I realized that he's going to need to stand right next to me, so we can get this thing done. And I go back, I pick him up and haul him down there and end up making the shot. Well, I shoot 3 times to make sure that we've done a good ethical pursuit here. And I get done and that pig is down and I look down at my son and he has the fear of terror in his face and he's covering his ears and he just looks like so freaked out. Well, I had 3 extremely loud explosions with a flame blowing out the end of this rifle in the middle of the night. And he has no idea what's just happened. And I looked down at him. I said, we got him. And that was our first hunt together.
Yeah.
And man, I'll tell you that it was a friend in the industry that advised me to write that story down and put it away for Nathan's graduation. And thanks to that guy, thanks to TC, I did that. I put that down on paper and
now audio.
Yeah, now audio. It's recorded in history, but that was, man, and probably the best of every story happens with Haley and Nathan.
Yeah. And that's a good nugget to take away is write them down. Cause I even find I can't remember remember. And the phone does a good job of sending me a picture from a decade ago. I'm like, oh man, that was I remember that weekend. It's just one picture from whatever. And, or taking little videos of the kids running around. This weekend, Ashley and I was like, look at this. This is, we used to call Hazy Mike's. It's like, look, it's little Hazy Mike's. And he's screaming and pretending like he's in a circus or whatever. And those moments pass so quickly. Record them somehow. That's a great nugget from your friend. Is you'll forget it if you don't write that down. Or you remember just bits and pieces and not the nuances and stuff like that.
And it's great. Writing things down is a bit of a lost art. Love letters to your wife and notes and thank yous.
Oh, yeah.
Thank yous are a big thing. I'm not always great at it by any means. Probably a lot of people going, I've never received a thank you note from that guy.
I love writing thank you notes.
It's a backlog. He's got a big backlog.
I've known him 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. But it's definitely a lost art, and it's something that I'd like to be better at. And I think that and having something like that, to receive, I'd love for Nathan, at 18 years old, to receive that and go, wow, that meant a lot to Dad, and wow, I do remember that, and man, it's incredible to read that, and so yeah, it's journaling, whatever, it's good practice. I agree.
Yeah, it's good.
I had a beast leader I had breakfast with, and he kind of gave me his hit by a bus plan, and he's got the Apple Notes app, and anytime he thinks of a nugget of wisdom, he writes it, and it's just a massive bullet list of his life lessons, like the inch by inch life's a cinch, 100 of them. So if anything ever was to happen, or someday he gets to pass that list of his favorite nuggets to his son, I was like, oh man, I'm stealing that for sure.
That's pretty good.
It's
That's awesome.
It's there forever.
Yeah, I like that.
Books and one thing, brother. You mentioned extreme ownership. Which books have rocked your foundation?
My the 2 books that and I intend to do a better job on reading, but 2 of the books that I invested time and reflection and have really made an impact on me is extreme ownership. And when I explain extreme ownership, it's, if your wife oversleeps and misses her alarm, that's your fault. If you had an opportunity to step in and do something to assist and help, and that you got to take ownership of everything that happens under your roof, around you, etc. And so I look at, to relate it to business, when there's things that, go wrong, that challenges on a project, just unplanned or unexpected. Man, if I was there, if I'm involved, if I recognize the skin that I have in the game, and I own that, at least I try to. And I expect others to as well. And so, taking ownership for everything. And again, I feel like I work at Clean Scapes. I represent this brand and this reputation, and good or bad, like I've got skin in the game. Like I've got responsibility that impacts all of it, and so extreme ownership and that mentality has made a big impact on me. And then the Go Giver. I love the Go Giver book, and I reflect on that a lot, and just making positive impacts and doing things for the right reasons, and doing it without intention to receive, but just doing it because it's the right thing. So those are two books that I really reflect on, probably on a weekly basis, if not daily.
I bet the Go Giver is maybe the most mentioned book on here.
It had probably, and it had a season of it. It felt like every other guest that was their number one book. That was their number one guest. It was a book. It was around the Josh Carson phase, like
Dave,
right in
Bob,
there. Bob, yeah,
actual Bob.
We actually had Bob on. As it turns out. That was a big hit.
Who was it? Kyle Draper several weeks ago. He was like, "Have you ever noticed that the Go Giver is basically the Bible? Like, there's no way he's not a believer with how you read it. You're like, this is the Bible." And you mentioned authenticity. That's one of the 5. It's 5 laws. Right. It's the law of authenticity from that book. Have you read it?
Yes. Why are you laughing?
Because I'm so astonished that you read it.
Nah, I didn't read it.
I know. He was shaking his head no. That was the wheeze laugh.
No, I haven't read it.
It's short. One car ride. Not let you read whole books while reading driving cars. Do you read cars, bro?
No. What are you talking about?
Your Talent War.
Yeah.
Your trip to Austin.
Yeah.
Speed reading.
Yeah. I think we told this story.
Allegedly.
Yeah. No, I read that thing from. Have I told you that story? Have you heard that?
No.
I read. We were going. It doesn't matter. We were going down to interview Mike Sorelli. This was I don't know, season opener for 2, I think maybe it was. I can't remember. And I was like, I can't go interview this guy without having read the book he just wrote, but I hadn't read it yet. So we get in the car, and I read the book while driving to Austin. Yeah, it's the top 1 most dangerous thing I've ever done.
That is impressive.
But I smashed it. I read the whole thing while driving.
All the tabs, the yellow tabs, the Post-its throughout it and all that.
Yeah, smashed it. I don't recommend that. This is disclaimer. I'm gonna have to bumper this one with a don't do this, but don't do that. That's stupid. But
you're Tesla driving before Teslas were cool.
No,
there it is.
I was just knee driving the Tahoe while I was flagging and tagging and talking on the phone and reading. And
he probably just stuck Post-its in there. He didn't even read it. Like,
false.
Look, he's like crinkling it up like this. Like, look how worn this thing is.
Oh man, I actually read that.
I know you.
Anyway.
All right, one big thing.
Yeah, hit us with it. What's the one big thing from Travis?
Leave it all on the field. I'd say just leave it all on the field. Get all you got. You get one shot at this life. It may be cliche, but man, don't no stone unturned. Man, wake up, do great things, and give it all you got.
It's perfect.
That's not
it's
cliche.
Commonly said because it's important to live out.
Yeah, Travis, thanks for hanging out, man. Enjoyed the stories. Enjoyed the time. Appreciate you sharing with us.
Man, thanks for having me, guys.